Hello and welcome in our YouTube channel Metallurgical Facts. In this video series, we are doing previous year solutions of WISEG RNL Management Trainee Exam, and we are doing now 2017 paper only for metallurgical engineering part. So this is part fifth of this video series. Before this, we have given four part of this video series. If you did not watch those videos, go through our playlist of WISEG RNL Management Trainee and watch those videos. Those videos are very useful for upcoming WISEG RNL exam. So the first question of this video is lead melts at 327 degrees centigrade. It is hot rolled at. So this is the melting point of lead is given, and we know hot rolling we can done after point 0.6 tm. Tm is basically melting temperature. Okay, and they have given four options, that is A minus 20 minus 273 degrees centigrade, minus 200 degrees centigrade room temperature, and none of the above. Okay, so for according to the rule, 0.6 tm is valid above the 0.6 tm. It is valid for hot rolled. But in case of lead, what happens? They for avoiding the grain coarsening or grain growth in hot rolling, during hot rolling, and to achieve the excellent properties or optimum conditions may be utilized. Okay, so for hot rolling of lead, we used the room temperature. So room temperature we can do the hot rolling of lead. Okay, so the option C is correct for this question. Next question is, as we go along row of the periodic table, if the three-dimensional network of primary bonds persists, the elastic modulus. Okay, so we know in one of the video of WISEG RNL previous year, I have already told you the elastic modulus relation with the each element in column and row. Okay, so here we can say that this elastic modulus depends on the bond strength basically. So if for this question, as we go along a row of the periodic table. So in this question, as soon as we will keep going through the row of periodic table, the three-dimensional network of the primary bonds will persist. So in this case, elastic modulus will keep increasing. Okay, so until or unless if the primary bonds are persist, so elastic modulus will increase. So A option is correct for this question. Okay, so in WISEG 2017, they asked many questions from this related to this elastic modulus and bond strength. Okay, so A is correct answer for this question. Question is, high elastic modulus in materials arises from. So they are asking about the high elastic modulus. So we know materials with strong bonds, which materials having strong bonds will have a deep potential energy. Whenever we will draw the interatomic and free distance curve, we can have idea about the about that potential energy. So here we can have idea about this potential energy, that this is E, that is elastic modulus is proportional to this potential energy. Okay, so if that will be the maximum with the sharp curvature, the materials have the strong bonds. Okay, so for this question, we can say that high elastic modulus in materials arises from high strength of bonds. So this is correct answer. Okay, and they have given one more option, sharp curvature at the maximum potential energy. Okay, so so this is not correct, because this is something, strong bonds have a deep potential. That means they have a minimum potential energy. Okay, so that's why this is not correct answer here, and we can relate that strong bonds with the potential energy and the elastic modulus by this formula. Okay, so A is correct option for this question. Next question is, the White Kelvin element is a series combination of spring and dashpot, a parallel combination of spring and dashpot, a four parameter model, none of these. Okay, so there in previous video I have already told you about the spring dashpot model. In There are many models which has given for this spring dashpot model, basically for viscoelastic behavior, for the study of viscoelastic behavior. Okay, so one of the model is Maxwell element, and this is for series combination of this spring and dashpot. And one is White Kelvin, and this is the combination of parallel combination of spring and dashpot, like that I am trying to draw here. Okay, so suppose this is something, spring is here. Okay, so they use this model to define the viscoelastic behavior of the material. Okay, so this is the dashpot kind of thing. Okay, so here tau is working here, and this is spring, this is dashpot. Okay, so this is in parallel combination in White and Kelvin. Okay, so one of the dashpot model, spring dashpot model, is the combination of this Maxwell element and White Kelvin element. Okay, so that is also known as Maxwell, and a combination of Maxwell and White Kelvin element. Okay, so we know from here we can conclude that this Maxwell element is use the spring and dashpot in series form, and White Kelvin use the spring and dashpot models in uh, parallel model. Okay, so from here we can say the White Kelvin element is parallel combination of spring and dashpot. So B part is correct for this question. Okay. Next question is, white cast iron have microstructure. They have given four options: acicular, ferrite and pearlite, ferrite and graphite, pearlite and graphite, cementite and pearlite. Okay, so according to these options, we can say that this white cast iron actually have the cementite network and pearlite also. Okay, because of this cementite only, they are very hard and brittle in nature. Okay, so the correct option for this question is cementite and pearlite, that is D option. So the next question is numerical type of questions, that is calculate the energy difference between Nx, Ny, Nz is equals to one level, the next higher energy level for free electrons in solid cube of 10 mm by 10 mm by 10 mm. Okay, so they are asking about this. We have to calculate the energy for this state Nx, Ny, Nz at is equals to 1, and the difference between this state and the next higher energy level. So first we will try to calculate for this. Okay, so we know this energy we can relate through the quantum state number, that is E is equals to h square n square by 8 ml square, that L is equals to basically the length, and we can get this length from the dimension, and this n is quantum state number in one dimension, that is 1d. This is 1d, and this m is mass of electron, this h is Planck's constant. Okay, so they are talking about 3D three-dimensional solid cube, because they are asking about Nx, Ny, Nz. Okay, so in three-dimensional solid, the free electrons can move in any of the direction in space. So the three quantum number Nx, Ny, Nz is given to those corresponding three coordinate axes. Okay, so what we can do, we can replace this n value by this Nx, Ny, Nz. How? After adding all those coordinates. Okay, so this E is equals to, we can replace, you can get this formula in any of the book which contains atomic structure. Okay, so Nx square plus Ny square plus Nz square, that was a simple question in asked in this RINL exam. Okay, so I wrote here h square nx square plus ny square plus nz square by 8 ml square. Okay, so now what I will do, this length dimension is equals to 10 mm, that is basically 10 power minus 3 meters, means 10 power minus 2 meters. Okay, so this is length. H is constant, that is Planck's constant, that is 6.62 multiplied by 10 power minus 34 joule per second. Every time whenever you are writing the data, given data, please put it by with unit. Okay, so that you can avoid the silly mistakes. So mass is equals to 9.1, mass of electron, that is 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg, that is the mass of electrons. So now what we will do, we will put these values here, and we will try to find the value of energy, that is E is equals to, H value is 6.626 multiplied by 10 power minus 34, that is whole square. Okay, so from here we can do whole square, and this nx, ny, nz is equals to 1, so 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square. Okay, and from here 8 m is 9.3 sorry 9.10 into 10 power minus 31 multiplied by 10 power minus 2, that is length square. Okay, so now we put every value and we will get this energy value, that will be approximate 3.62 multiplied by 10 power minus 33 joules. Okay, so here in question we can see that they are asking about the difference between this level and the next higher energy level. So suppose this is a 111 is one stage, and the next higher level will be will maybe, okay, so this may be 211, either 211 or 121 or 112. Okay, so these three possible conditions of a higher level of quantum states. Okay, so what we will do, we will replace this 111 by 211, either 211 or 121. This the value, the magnitude will be same for either case. Okay, so now what we will do, we will calculate the energy by putting these value. Okay, so everything will be same, 6.62 multiplied by 10 power minus 34. Only we will do 1 square plus 1 square plus 2 square. Okay, by this 8 multiplied by 9.1 multiplied by 10 power minus 31 into L square, that is, okay, so from here what we will get, we will get E value. That E value will be basically, so here I did calculation mistakes here. This is the value, that is 1.81 into 10 power minus 33. Okay, so you can calculate and you can recheck this value. Okay, so this is 1.81 into 10 power minus 36, and here we will get 3.62 multiplied by 10 power minus 3. Okay, in joules. So they are asking about the difference between this level and the next level. So next level is here, so this is E2 and this is first level, so this is E1. So how we can calculate the energy difference, that is delta E is equals to E2 minus E1, and whenever we will subtract this E2 minus E1, subtract this E1 by E2, so we will get 1.81 multiplied by 10 power 3 joules. Okay, so this is the correct answer for this question. So this 1.81 multiplied by 10 power 3 is correct answer for this question. So A is correct. So this is how we calculated. We know this formula for quantum state and for relating the quantum state and the energy of that state in 3 dimension. Okay, so this M is mass of electron, this L is dimension, this H is Planck's constant, this Nx, Ny, Nz is basically the 3 quantum numbers corresponding to the 3 coordinate axis. Okay, so we first calculated E1 value, that is for first level 111, and E2 value for 121 or 112. Okay, for 211. Okay, for any of the above we can calculate, and then we subtract this E1 value by E2 value, and we got the difference between those both level. So the next question is, in medium carbon steel, the percentage of carbon varies from. So this is simple question. I think you all have heard about this low carbon steel and medium carbon steel. They categorize this steel on carbon basis, on amount of carbon basis. Okay, so this is high carbon steel. In some books, you will get few some variations in values. Okay, so don't worry about this. You can learn like this: 0 to 0.3%, that is low carbon steel, 0.3 to 0.6, that is medium carbon steel, and 0.8 to 1.4%, that is high carbon steel. Okay, so from here we can from options we can get that this D option is incorrect, this B option is incorrect, and we can say the exact in medium carbon steel the carbon percentage varies from 0.3 to 0.60. Okay, so they will not give the options so closer. Okay, so don't worry about this, and this is totally theoretical question. So low carbon steel we know that is, so 0 to 0.3%, for medium carbon 0.3 to 0.6%, varies from 0.3 to 0.6%. Okay, so A is correct answer for this. Thank you guys for your attention. Hope you guys have learned something new in this video. We will try to add rest of the parts as soon as possible before RINL 2020 exam, and subscribe our channel and press bell icon to get notification for upcoming videos. Thank you.